No, you are not watching paint dry. You are watching the United States Senate in action. Make that inaction. When it comes to passing a bill or deciding to vote on a bill, a majority in the Senate isn't enough. Why? Because it takes 60 votes to stop debate. Without those 60 votes, a few senators, even one, can prevent a vote from occurring. That's what they call a filibuster.
The Senate was a graveyard for good ideas.
New Mexico Senator Tom Udall wants to change the rules that he says has brought the Senate to a grinding halt.
It's very hard to actually make a difference on something unless you change those rules.
Wild horses aren't going to drag me off this floor.
This is what we think a filibuster looks like. Jimmy Stewart's Mr. Smith going to Washington to stand and fight against a majority. Or in the 1950s and 60s, trying to stop majorities from passing a federal civil rights law.
We expect to keep talking until the bill is defeated.
Strom Thurmond holds the record for the longest single filibuster, 24 hours plus, and he was also part of the record 57-day effort, unsuccessful, to block the 1964 Civil Rights Act. But in the last few years, both parties began using this tactic more and more often. And in the last session, Republicans used the filibuster against virtually every controversial bill and nomination, and some that weren't controversial at all.
Filibusters were applied or threatened to almost every routine piece of legislation and vast numbers of nominees. So the process has just changed dramatically in the last 4 to 6 years.
These days, senators don't have to stand up and talk endlessly. The mere intent to filibuster forces the majority to round up those 60 votes. And the tactic can be used over and over for every amendment and at every step of the process. The Senate will take up this issue in about 2 weeks, but some Democrats who fear they may lose the Senate next year may be wondering just how much they want to change rules they might want to use if they're in the minority again. Katie?
Jeff Greenfield in Washington. Jeff, thanks very much.